Hi, my name is Carrie Hilton, and I am taking Dr. Lauder's Schools by Design class um, in July of 2020, and this is my final screencast based on one of the five reforms that I chose to um, research and write a PowerPoint for. So one of the first things that we were asked to do is explain the reform that we chose and the implementation of it with fidelity. Um, so the the reform that I chose is the 21st century learning. I think that's extremely important for all students. I'm a special education student and I do use technology in my classroom. I have a resource room. And we do use lots and lots of technology, and I think it helps students with some of the things that I'm going to talk about in just a minute. So, from what I have found through my research, I decided that implementation with fidelity in the 21st century learning classroom looks like students showing adaptability by applying cross curricular skills consistently in their work. Um, so they're not held to just doing one uh, subject at a time. And then teachers are also held accountable by their use of rubrics and working closely with students to help develop their plan. Okay, so then I kind of talked about the use of a well-developed rubric. It was stated that this rubric that we created needed to be um, useful for each of the five reforms, and I think I've done that. We'll see. It's within this slideshow, um, so we'll get to that in just a minute. But uh, so I just wanted to show how using the well-developed rubric can help evaluate the reform. Um, and this applies to all the reforms as well. So with a well-developed rubrics, students um, have also been observed as developing more social and emotional skills, creativity, and a growth mindset. I wonder why that is. Let's take a look. So the SEB portion is what I'm really familiar with, and I do see students who gain confidence. Um, they know what to expect. They are going to succeed, and especially in that social emotional area, because they don't have to worry about anything. They already know they can do it. They've been explained, you know, um, the rubric, and they know what to expect. And I think that helps students a lot. So it helps them feel safe in their environment. And not only is it natural that they begin developing other important um, educational areas, but it's important for them um, to sort of branch out and feel safe to try new things. And then I also said that the rubric that I developed for the five reforms could be applicable to all, as it is broad enough and doesn't highlight exact measures, but rather skills to be accomplished. So I do think that this rubric that I created will be able to go across um, all areas. And then we had to decide if it was met or not met um, regarding the reform. So the 21st century learning is aligned with the rubric that I created for the five educational reforms. Students demonstrate their abilities to develop and communicate new ideas to others, so that makes them need to work effectively together in a group, which is an important 21st century learning tool for all students' success. Students demonstrate abilities to effectively analyze and evaluate evidence. So they're not just learning things for the sake of learning them, they're actually learning how to evaluate and analyze, which are higher level sort of DOK4 um, skills. Uh, they also need to be able to have effective arguments, defend claims and beliefs. And so this is important for students to collaborate, and the above skills are also an important part of teaching and learning. So students demonstrate their abilities to work effectively and respectively with diverse teams. So they may not get to be in a team with their friends, and that's okay. That's okay. They can get along, and they can work effectively and respectively with other students that they may not have chosen. Okay, so here comes my rubric. And so this is about learning and innovation, working creatively with others, which is something that I just sort of talked about. I'm only going to go over one descriptor, and if you would like to pause the video, you can take a look at the rest. But this is just part of the rubric that I developed. And the first item, the first descriptor is develop, implement, and communicate new ideas to others effectively. So that's what we were talking about earlier as part of the 21st century skills. And so if they're exceeding, it says students are able to regularly demonstrate, develop, and communicate new ideas to others. So that means they're exceeding expectations, because in a special education classroom, you don't really expect students to, to have those skills right away. So the next skill is meeting expectations in being able to demonstrate, develop, and communicate ideas to others. So those are both important 21st century skills. And then approaching demonstration of the expectations. This is sort of getting down the end of the ladder here. Students occasionally develop and communicate new ideas to others. Sometimes that's good enough. If they can sometimes communicate ideas with others. And then the last thing is they did not meet expectations. So across the board, I put student is not meeting expectations in this area at this time. So I think that this rubric can go across all 5 of the reforms, just like I said, because it is broad. But we'll see what Dr. Louder thinks. I don't know. Okay, so then there's some results that we're expecting through learning through the 21st century school reform. And that is skills that must be taught more intentionally and effectively. So we're going to go beyond the regular lesson delivery, and we are going to use these 21st century school reform skills to help us be more intentional and effective in the work that we do. And I think that will definitely help students when they graduate high school. So schools have to be more deliberate about teaching critical thinking, collaboration, and problem solving to all students. Then the remedies are more obvious, although still intensely challenging. And then better teaching, better curriculum, better assessments, a better but more difficult way for students to learn. So in doing this 21st century skills reform, teachers have to follow along with the rules. They can't do what they've always done, or they're not going to get the same results. And then the development of character traits like thinking, collaboration, problem solving will be well developed by meeting the criteria on the rubric. So if they are actually doing it and they are meeting that criteria on the rubric, they are actually learning these skills, the critical thinking, the collaboration, and problem solving. Those will all be developed by meeting the criteria on the rubric, which students are presented with before they even begin their assignment. Okay, so I have a personal response. So in the research that I've done for 21st century learning, across the board, schools are trying to help students develop skills that they will need to have for the working world in their future. Employers are looking for more diverse and unique individuals who can demonstrate their use of new demands and different abilities learned through 21st century learning. Students in these environments will not only learn these skills, but will develop lifelong skills for collaboration and open-mindedness, which are skills that must be taught more intentionally and effectively and woven within the curriculum if students are going to obtain these skills. Teaching these skills to students will help them in the long run in the workplace. So that is sort of, in summary, everything that I feel like I've learned that was important about 21st century learning. And there are my resources. I hope I've done everything correctly. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this in and have a great day. Thank you.